We are merely days away from the Squadrons release, coming out in October 3rd. As for me, I have the game pre-ordered and ready to play on day one, as I expect many of you EcksToo viewers have also. Now, there are many things about Squadrons that I'm looking forward to. However, one thing did pop up in my head that I think might actually come to Squadrons, even though the developers have specifically said it will not come. Now, it's not really a feature per se, but more of a oversight. The one thing I do think will come to Squadrons eventually is microtransactions. Now, I get it, like the word is pretty much a very scary thing to hear, especially when it comes from Squadrons, which I think is going to be a very big favorite game for many Star Wars fans. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be a bad thing. Hear me out. Microtransactions don't always have to be toxic. Whilst yes, you do have some bad examples like Overwatch coming in at a lower price grade, much like Squadrons is doing, but also has microtransactions locked on top of it that are hidden behind loot boxes. I'm not saying Squadrons will do something like that, and nor do I think it would actually introduce anything like pay to win, which you most likely see in mobile games more than console games. I do think they'll release a store that allows you to buy cosmetics only. Now, I'll go into this in a bit more detail, but before I do, my question of the day to you guys is, do you want a microtransaction store in Star Wars Squadrons? Now, I know I'm asking this before I give my point, but I want to know if your opinion changes after I've given them and I start doing the outro. So if you just want to put your answer immediately, that's fine. But if you've changed your opinion after watching the video, you can either edit your comment or just let me know that's happened. And just one last thing, I've dropped a big video going into lots of detail about how I play the New Republic in Empire War Thrawn's Revenge. I explain all my planning and specific moves that I do with fighters and certain ships and what ships I tend to build in that faction. That video has been released for Patreon viewers, so if you donate $5 on the Patreon or on the YouTube subscriber membership, you get that video instantly. And we'll be doing more of these each month for every Patreon video. But with that out of the way, let's talk microtransactions. So let's go over some examples that might make people think that microtransactions is a bad thing. The first one is pretty easy, Battlefront 2. I know a lot of you guys hated that system that allowed people to literally pay to win. I mean, you can see some of the old gameplay of Battlefront back in like 2017, where you've got some players playing as Darth Vader and literally dominating the game with no real counterplay to it. It did take the developers anywhere between 2 or 2.5 years to get that feeling right after eliminating those loot boxes and eliminating that pay to win aspect of the game. Pay to win systems on a console game sounds very foreign to me, so I get the anger that comes with Battlefront 2 and why the word can be very scary for Squadron players. I mean, even with the changes that they made to Battlefront 2, it still had a little bit of pay to win. A lot of people that paid for these things did have a little bit of an edge over people that didn't, but really it just ended up coming up to more of a matchmaking system thing. People who have just started playing will all be on the same level, and people who have played for quite a while will most likely have unlocked those pay to win aspects of the game. Overwatch is another example. Now, I played a lot of Overwatch, and one thing that really annoyed me is when they released new skins, but locked all of them behind loot boxes. Now, yes, you could play for hours and hours and hours and hours to unlock those skins, but they did it within a time limit. Every skin they released was in a time limit, making it almost impossible to unlock all the skins that you wanted just by playing. So it forced players to pay with real money to unlock loot boxes, hoping that they'd get the skin that they wanted. That type of microtransaction store today is just atrocious. I would not expect game developers to integrate something like that in their games from this point onwards. But what I think Squadrons will do is keep it super simple. Have a store with cosmetics that you can buy separately with real money. For me, I'd actually want something like this. I'm really big on cosmetics and having a personalized exterior or interior design. And whilst it works for me, the people who don't really agree with it, they don't have to use it. They can just keep the stock skins that they have or anything that they unlock through ranked gameplay or season gameplay, so on and so forth. But I think one of the biggest reasons we need a microtransaction store in Squadrons is the longevity of the game. We got to be real here. As more people buy Squadrons, it's going to be less and less sales made over time as more people have that game. So what it means is that income for Squadrons is finite. And when that money slows down, developers are going to find a harder time to justify more updates to the game. Like Like, let's be real, guys, developers and designers do not work for free. So the introduction of a microtransaction store for skins and cosmetics only opens up financial revenue systems that can keep the game going and going and going for years to come. And I'm not saying people who can't afford to buy skins will have no skin at all. I do believe we're going to get more customized skins through pre-orders or perhaps through ranked gameplay each season, depending on where you place or if you actually do the ranked season at all. We might even have seasonal updates for like Christmas or Halloween, summer, etc, etc. Many games do this. Whilst I don't think this fits Squadrons' theme very well, so I don't know if it'll actually happen, it does allow the developers of Squadrons to entice players to come back and play to unlock free cosmetics. I know I bring up this game as an example time and time again, but I've played hours and hours of it, so it's a really good example from me. But a reason why it can work is just look at League of Legends. That game is free to play, and it's been going on for well over a decade through microtransactions of cosmetics. That's all. Yes, there's an esports scene as well, but the main majority of their income comes from cosmetic purchases in-game. Now, channels like Star Wars Explained has gone through some of the skins that are available in the beta, and whilst there's some really cool designs, emblems, interior models, I think that's only going to go so far. Eventually, people are going to get bored of the same designs over and over again. And what's worse is that I think a lot of people will eventually end up looking the same because of how little cosmetics there are after a certain amount of time. So it also brings up the question that maybe we want to introduce more cosmetics through a microtransaction store. And if we really want to see an esports scene from Squadrons, it's going to need a lot of income and revenue streams to make that happen. Another example you could probably look at is Fall Guys. Fall Guys is a paid game that you buy on Steam, but it also has DLC packs. I do think Squadrons may go that way, rather than actually have a store where you can pick and choose which skins and interior models you want. But I feel so many people are hostile over the concept of microtransactions is because it's under EA, who is notoriously infamous for exploiting their player base with unfinished games coming out at launch and then paid DLC packs coming in to actually complete the game, and manipulative loot boxes that coax players to buy them so they can actually be better at the game. No skill involved. So I generally do feel the fear that many people have of microtransactions plus Star Wars Squadrons. But we don't live in a perfect world. If you want Star Wars Squadrons to be the game that you want to keep coming back to and playing over and over and over again, like your PUBGs, your Fortnites, your Call of Duty, Cold War, Overwatch, Team Fortress 2, League of Legends, yada yada yada, it can only happen through microtransactions. Servers are not free, developers are not free, artists are not free. It costs money to produce more content for the game. And without a proper system of money coming in and money coming out to keep the game going and going, Squadrons will have a finite deadline before the game will eventually die and the servers shut down. So that's why I really think microtransactions could be a really good revenue stream for Squadrons and why they should be in the game. But what about your thoughts? Of course, my question of the day being, do you think microtransactions should be in Star Wars Squadrons? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I read all of them and try to get back to some of you. And as of recording, you have 10 days left before we wrap up all the rewards for our October Patreon. So if you want the Patreon Games Night with me, the newsletters, the extra monthly video, securing a place with Playing with Fans, specialized EcksToo avatar designs, and specialized unique shirt designs that nobody else will be able to get, be sure to pledge now before it's too late. And well, that brings me to the end of the video. I've been Charlie, you've been watching EcksToo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.